Hi guys, this question is for either of you. Just after the loss and knowing that you guys have a really tough stretch of road games coming up, how do you kind of quickly brush this one off, move on to the next one with the season kind of winding down? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's, tough loss to take, obviously, with the effort that the boys put in. It's one of those things that have been consistently happening this year. We have to close out games. I think we're in a good position right there, but moving forward, we got to pick ourselves up, and there's still 10 games left, and still good opportunities for us to make the playoffs and squeeze in some points where we can, and we'll look to rebound and hopefully correct the things that we did wrong, and continue to apply those things in the second part of the season.
Reminder for media, if you have a question for either Alex or Cristian, please go ahead and hit that raise hand function button. Jeremiah Oshan, I see you next. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Yeah, this is, I guess, for either one of you, but I was just looking at the numbers. This is your 10th one-goal loss of the season. Seems like that's been sort of a recurring theme where you aren't able to quite get the draw on these ones. Anything that you see that is a pattern in those results?
I think playing from behind has been a pattern for us. Trying to push guys forward and not being able to break down the opponent when they have 10 guys behind the ball. We kind of step it up once we concede a goal, and that shouldn't be the case. We should always be on the front foot from the very beginning. And I think that's why it's the most frustrating, because we feel like we've been playing well in those moments when we're throwing guys forward, and we feel like we get one or two to get us back into the game. And when we don't, it gets frustrating because we lose these games 1-0, 2-1, and as if you tie 3-4 more games, you put yourself in a really good spot for the playoffs. You don't let the opponent get points, especially in Western Conference, and then you gain 1 point per game. So I think that's where the frustrating part of this is, where we lose so many games instead of tying these 1-goal games.
Okay, we'll go over to Dylan Butler next. Dylan, please go ahead.
Just piggybacking off that, Cristian, did you see that tonight or today as well? Was that in terms of conceding that late goal? Was it the same sort of thing that's been happening in some of these matches?
I mean, today we had 10 guys behind the ball in that last goal. I think I could have done a better job of stepping up instead of connecting to the back line, and he hits a worldie as well. So credit to him. But for me, it was more the first goal. We hadn't conceded too many chances up until then, and it almost feels like every first chance that the other team gets, it seems to go into the back of net. And when you're going through these phases of the season where you're struggling, it almost always feels that way. And on the opposite end, when you're doing well, it almost seems to go your way. So eventually it'll go our way, but yeah, it's frustrating.
Next question, we'll go to Joe Mondello. Joe, please go ahead.
There's a lot of veterans on this team who've been through difficult stretches before. How important will that leadership be going into the final stretch of games?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to rely on our leaders, our veteran players. Obviously, they've been through these tough moments. I mean, I don't know, 5 or 6 of the last 7 years, there's been up and downs where we're struggling to get back into the playoff line, or just, in a stretch of bad games and then turn it around in the summer. And I think just getting back to that, where veterans and leaders come, showcase what they have on the field, off the field. It starts in training. I think, they can be the ones who pick up the slack and, make sure that we're putting the effort in there, because training translates to the game. And if we're not training to highest ability where you're going to obviously play bad in the game. So, looking to correct those things, and that's something that we'll look for our leaders to do.
Jade Evans, I see you next. Please go ahead.
Thanks. My question is for Alex. It also seemed like you might have been in a position to block Gutman's goal there. Can you kind of describe what you saw in there in that last score?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation for me. Me being part of the back line, I have a guy on me to my right shoulder, hesitant to step to him just because if I step, that opens up a gap so he could slip him in. So I would rather hold my ground until the last moment I could possibly hold my ground and then push forward. And like I said, like Cristian said, it's at the end of the day, you got to give him credit for a shot that's 25, 30 yards out. And I maybe could have stepped earlier, but then again, it opens up a gap in the back line. So I think where we need to look at that play and improve on that play is what we could have done before that, before it led to that moment, and correct those things.
If I can follow up on that one, Cristian was so determined with his goal. They had like a longer celebration, but did you guys feel that there wasn't enough time to maybe get an equalizer, or what were those like final seconds left there?
Yeah, I mean, we were obviously going to push for it. I think we got in behind, or we got into their 18 area, and I think the play ended there, and we lost possession. But the team was always going to fight for it and continue to try to come back into this game.
Take a couple more, and then welcome in head coach Brian Schmetzer for his portion of the press conference. Jeremiah O'Shan, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put a result like that aside, but what did you make of the play for the first 93 minutes? I mean, were you happy with it? Did it feel like you had done enough to earn a tie, or did it feel like you were leaving something out there?
Yeah, I felt like we, deserved a tie at least. I don't know what our expected goals were, but it seemed pretty good. I felt like we deserved at least one more goal. And there was 20, 25 minutes in the second half where we looked really good. And there were things that we could have corrected in the first half that would have helped us with the result. But, it's a weird one because you concede so late after playing. I felt a really good second half. So, you have to sometimes when you play well and you lose the game, it's difficult to take the positives out of it. But there were certainly positives, and we have to rinse and repeat those positives and throw away those negatives and figure those out.
Okay, Rachel, you're the last hand raised, so go ahead and take us home for this portion of the press conference, please.
Thanks. This one's for Cristian. They had mentioned on the broadcast that the Sounders have had a lot of different pairings in the midfield this season. I think they said 14. So how do you kind of juggle that, playing with all these different players, older guys, younger guys, pretty much just everyone that Seattle has rostered? Thanks.
Well, I think everybody has their style of play. We obviously have Albert in there, who's been the steady player in there. So we've just been mixing and matching a player that complements him. I thought Danny, who came in, did really well. He brought some energy, brought some spark into it. And then Nico comes into the midfield, pushes Albert up. So it's been difficult to get some consistency in there. But at the end of the day, look, it's professional sports. Everybody's dealing with these problems, in the season with injuries. So it's a matter of whoever comes into the lineup, has to come in there and provide that energy, that job that we need them to do.